Our y-intercept on this graph? Positive 2. Good job. So right here, that is our y-intercept, and that's at 0, 2. Solution, that's where it crosses through the x-axis. So that's here and here. So that would be negative 2, 0, and also positive 2, 0. Now it just so happens that these two are the same. The y-intercept is the highest point, so that would be 0, 2. Every quadratic has what domain? Negative infinity to infinity. Now this one is a frown, which tells me that we're going to go from negative infinity all the way up to here. And what is that y value when we stop going up? 2. So that would be negative infinity to 2. Okay. Go to page 25 in your notes. We got 3 examples and we'll be finished with this unit, or not, well, this lesson, not the unit, but the lesson. That's pre-cal. I think your quiz is next week sometime. I have to look at the calendar, but it's not this week. Okay, so zooming into this equation, we got A is 1, B is 4, C is negative 5. All right, which one of those is our y-intercept, A, B, or C? C. So let's go ahead and write that, 0, negative 5. We're on page 25. This is page 25 of our blue packet. So now let's go ahead and put a point at 0, negative 5. Let's go ahead and plot our y-intercept. So in order to do vertex form, we need to complete the square, and that's what we talked about last week. I'm going to make our box. This is not the same as factoring. We put our x squared here. What is half of 4? 2x goes here and here. And then the c value would go here. Now this square is not complete. So in order to complete the square, we're just multiplying these two numbers together. And what is 2 times 2? So the box, we put a plus 4. And that number is always a positive. And then on the outside, we put a minus 4. So what this factors down to is x plus 2 times x plus 2, which is the same as x plus 2 squared. And then negative 5 minus 4. What is negative 5 minus 4? Positive or negative? Negative 9. Good job. So because A is positive, this has a minimum. And whenever you find your vertex, this number, you always flip it. So my vertex is at negative 2, negative 9. Let's go to our graph. Let's plot that point. I'll zoom back out in a minute. So negative 2 down 9. I'm going to put a point right here, because that's negative 2, negative 9. And then we have our axis of symmetry, which is x equals negative 2. So what that means is, if I were to draw, and I'm just going to draw it, but you don't have to, this line is the middle of my graph. That's what we mean when we say axis of symmetry. That's the middle of my graph. All right, so here, this is the factor. We got to factor it down. And when you factor it, I need two numbers that multiply to -5 but add to 4. So two numbers that multiply to be -5 but add to 4. The only thing that multiplies to be 5 is 1 times 5 because it's prime. And which one of those numbers is negative, the 1 or the 5? The 1. Which means that this is going to factor down to y equals x minus 1 and x plus 5. So I want to make sure you all understand that we took this equation and rewrote it 3 different ways. This is the factor form. And then we also wrote it in vertex form. And the one they gave us was standard form. All 3 of these graphs, are identical. It's kind of like 3 different words that mean the same thing. If we graph these 3, if we made a table of values, all 3 of those would be exactly the same. But each form has a different benefit. The benefit of factored form is that I can find my x-intercepts by setting these equal to 0. The benefit of vertex form is I can figure out where my min or max is. And from standard form, the only thing I can figure out is my y-intercept. All right, so back to finding our roots. I'm going to take the x minus 1, which is going to give me x equals 1. I'm going to put that here. And then I'm going to take my x plus 5, set that equal to 0, which is going to give me x equals -5. I'm going to put that here. So now we're going to go to our graph. And on the x-axis, I want you to put a point at +1 and a point at -5. So I'm going to zoom in. +1, -5. So now we have enough to sketch it. So I have a parabola. It's going to come down, hit that vertex. It does a U-turn, and it heads back up. That's my sketch. My domain, all real numbers. And because this one is a smile, that means that my range is going to start at the vertex, which is -9, the y value, and it's going up forever. All right, any questions? All right, let's look at example 3. All right, so example 3, we have our y-intercept. Where is our y-intercept going to be? What's our c value? 5, 0, 5. Let's go ahead and put a point right there. All right, now to do vertex form, we need to complete the square. X squared will go here. I'm going to take this -2x, split it in half. The c goes on the back. All right, what is the number that will complete the square? 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So I'm going to put a +1 here and a -1 here. So this factors down to y equals x minus 1 squared. And then what is 5 minus 1? Plus 4. So our vertex is at 1, 4. And it's a minimum because it's a smile. So let's go ahead and put a point there. Right there. The middle of this graph is going to be at x equals 1. Now, when we try to factor it, if I were going to factor this, I would need two numbers that multiply to be 5 and add to -2. Does that exist? No. This has no x-intercepts. Because remember that this is where the graph is doing the U-turn at. This graph is going to come down. When it hits that vertex, it's going to turn back around and go back up. So this graph never comes down far enough to have an x-intercept. My domain is all real numbers. My lowest y value is what? What's the y value of my vertex? Somebody besides Tristan. Carmelo, what's the y value in my vertex? The vertex, where it says vertex, the y value is 4. Right here, 4. Right, vertex. This is x, this is y. No, I said the y value of your vertex. So this is the vertex. This is x and this is y. So your y value would be a +4 and it goes up forever. All right, example 4, that's our last question, but there is a typo. That's a repeat question. So I want you to take your pencil and mark it out really good. I'm going to give you a new one. Cross this out really good so you don't get confused and look at it. Okay. This is what we're going to graph. Y equals x squared plus 8x plus 7. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. I want you all to get as far as you can going down that list. wasn't bad. That wasn't bad at all. So your y-intercept is at 7. Zero, 7. Raise your hand if you had that. Good. Now let's plot it. Put a point at 0, 7. Your vertex form, we have to make our box. X squared goes here. But then we have to take the 8 and cut it in half, which would be a 4x. And then the plus 7 is always in the back. So the biggest mistake that I saw a lot is that a lot of people put a plus 16 in the box and also behind the box. They're opposite signs. So 4 times 4 is what? 16. But here, you have to put a minus 16. It's either way. Subtraction is the same as negative. So now, when you factor this down, we have y equals x plus 4 squared. And what's 7 minus 16? 7 minus 16. Negative 9. All right, raise your hand if you had that for your vertex form. Okay. The vertex, you flip h, so that would be a negative 4, negative 9. Let's go to our graph. Let's put a point there. Negative 4, negative 9. Put a point. That's where the graph is going to do its U-turn. All right. The middle of this graph is at x equals negative 4. So what that means is that if I were to draw a dashed line at negative 4, that would be the middle. All right, so now let's factor this down. In order to factor it, I need 2 numbers. They multiply to give you 7. And they add to 8. Now this is a prime number. The only thing that multiplies to be 7 is what? 1 is 7. 1 times 7 is 7, and 1 plus 7 is 8. So this would factor, the factored form would be y equals x plus 1 times x plus 7. That's the factor form of that equation. Now, when you set that equal to 0, though, that's going to tell you where this graph will cross the x-axis. So it's going to cross at x equals what? Where are my 2 places where it's going to cross? Negative 7 and negative 1. Now let's go to our graph. Let's put a point. Oh, let me write that here. X equals negative 1. X equals negative 7. All right, now let's go to our graph and put a point there. Negative 1, negative 7. So we got enough here to sketch it. So it's going to come down, cross through there, hit to the point where it's going to do a U-turn. Then it does a U-turn and it comes back up and crosses through those 2 points. Your domain would be all real numbers. And your lowest y value, the lowest y value is what? Yep, this is as low as it goes. So it starts at negative 9. And it goes up to infinity. All right, so everybody go ahead, take out your homework 5. It is due tomorrow.